What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. So, according to Fight Hype and some sources, they're saying the Gennady Golovkin versus David Lemieux on HBO PPV did approximately 150,000 pay-per-view buys, possibly under that. So, I want to talk about this subject, and I'm just going to run with it. If there's an update with a more accurate number, this might just be a forecast. I don't know if they've been able to tally every single thing, but I'm going to run with this, and I'll do an updated video if it's later released that there's a better number. But the reason I think this might be true is the report surfaced earlier this morning, and I was looking on Tom Loeffler, he's pretty active on social media, and you can see this tweet right here. I know he has to have heard of the report of 150,000, just like when there was beef with Carl Froch was saying this and that, he immediately took to social media and started responding. So the mere fact that he's in charge of K2 Promotions, and he hasn't responded debuking this particular report, then to me, it shows that there's probably some weight to it. You know what I'm saying? Because if that was me and we were like 800,000 and there's a report saying it's 150,000, I know I would clear the air. So the fact that he hasn't debuted the report lets me know that's probably pretty close to accurate. Now, this is the thing, man. Triple G put on a good performance, a spectacular performance in terms of what he did to David Lemieux. It was really to be expected. I said a month ago when I did 7 reasons why Triple G beats David Lemieux. Now, what this really proves to me is what I've been saying a lot. And I'm going to play a clip from when I was at the Andre Ward-Paul Smith fight where Rock Nation, the CEO of Rock Nation, I believe, he started speaking about what it takes to make a pay-per-view star.
And I'll follow for Dave, and maybe both of you guys can answer this one. This is your first fight with Andre under the Rock Nation banner, and I know how important it is. You know, Andre's right now, he's back, he's still in the prime of his career. How do you make the #2 pound-for-pound fighter in the world into that global icon, into that pay-per-view superstar that he wants to be?
Well, it's like I said before, you know, people throw around global superstar and they throw around pay-per-view star. I've been a professional for 10 years. And there's a Mexican-American and there's an American who have broke through that barrier in the 10 years that I've been a professional. That's Oscar De La Hoya, that's Floyd Mayweather. Everybody else came from another country and brought their fan base with them. Miguel Cotto, Felix Trinidad, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez. There are no pay-per-view stars right now from America outside of Floyd Mayweather. So that's not something we can just throw around and say, well, when are you going to do it? It just doesn't happen like that. A lot of things went right for Floyd to get to the position he got in. He had his Arturo Gatti, his first pay-per-view. He had his Carlos Baldemir, his Zab Judah, his Oscar De La Hoya, his Ricky Hatton. I wish I had those kind of rivals and those kind of opponents. I don't. So you can't make that happen. We just got to continue to fight, continue to win, and it has to happen, because the thing is this, you're not a pay-per-view star because you participate in a pay-per-view, right? You're a pay-per-view star when you can command the A side of a pay-per-view no matter who you fight. Time in and time out. So it's not an impossible thing to do, but I get asked that question, like, we would love for that to happen, but I need the right dancing partner, I think, first. And then I just think it's a fight that the fans have to demand, the media. You guys have to demand it and put pressure on these guys. And then it's something that's going to draw interest where a cable network like HBO will say, this has to be pay-per-view. So that's the long answer for me. It's not like these things don't just happen.
You just too good, champ.
It takes a lot of time. So, but hopefully we're closer than we've ever been. Hopefully I mean, I feel like my side is ready. I just think we need the right dancing partner. And then we can get our first one under our belt, then we can move on and say, okay, let's get some more.
Andre, I got a question.
Did that answer?
You answered it definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to get Dave's thoughts on that.
I think Andre, you know, he gave a great answer. You know, becoming a pay-per-view star is not something that, you know, you sprinkle dust on someone and it happens. It's something that happens over years, and it involves chemistry, and it involves the right opponents, and it involves, you know, a little bit of luck, and as he said, Floyd had a pretty good path to doing it. Andre's opponent path isn't what I would say is as easy of a star build as Floyd's was. So you have to work with what's out there and with what's in front of you. We're going to put him into our engine at Rock Nation, which I think gives him an advantage over other fighters out there in terms of branding and marketing and exposure. And we'll take the fights as they come. And if they become pay-per-view fights, that's great. They become pay-per-view fights, and Andre makes a lot of money, and everybody's happy. But if he continues to fight on HBO and he makes a great living for himself, that's great too. I mean, no one's saying that the pinnacle of success in boxing is that you're a pay-per-view star. You can accomplish a lot without doing that. But obviously, look, it would be great icing on the cake for him if it were to happen.
And it's tough. Floyd Mayweather made it hard for us. Like, now it's Floyd or bust. And we have to enjoy what Floyd has done, because that may never be done again for a very long time. I mean, I got some posters in my gym, and I forgot that those fights were pay-per-view fights, like Jermaine Taylor, Hopkins, all of them, right? Tarver Hopkins. And it's like, today, I don't even know if they would put those fights, like, if me and Chad fought back then, that's a pay-per-view fight. If me and Kovalev fought then, that's a pay-per-view fight right now. It's just different. Floyd changed the landscape and changed the game, so we got to kind of play accordingly.
Now, HBO, and I have to probably make a separate video about this, but HBO, they're excellent when it comes to video production and just, cinematography, narration, and they put together well put together specials and stuff like 24/7 Face Off. I love that stuff. But I told you guys about the commentary, very biased, very opinionated. If there's a star, you can instantly tell who HBO likes, and that's simply because of their commentary. If you listen to the commentary, you could tell who they push. Like, people who come to my channel all the time, like, oh, you like this fighter, X, Y, and Z. But I've said good things, negative, neutral things, reported the news only on pretty much every fighter. It's not as flagrant as like an HBO. You can tell they like Triple G and they like Roman Gonzalez. And to a degree, of course you're going to, if that's someone you're trying to market, then of course you're going to, they're on your network, you want to promote them. But to me, there's also a thing called being realistic. Just because you're promoting somebody, you could still have constructive criticism for them. You could still be realistic when you're placing them on pound for pound statuses and lists and things like that. So there's no shame. I mean, I'm friends with fighters and different stuff like that, but I'm not going to tell you, because I'm friends with Shane Mosley, I'm not going to say, oh, he beats Earl Spence, easy work, if I don't feel that, just because I'm friends with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that, to me, that's not what I do. You know what I mean? So even though you're cool with someone or you're promoting somebody, there's ways to do it and to be realistic. And it's very clear. I did an ego poll on Triple G versus Lemieux, and the feedback, I forgot to give you guys the results, but the feedback was startling. A lot of people said, I'm not paying for it. And with 150,000 views, I mean, it goes to show a lot of people weren't paying for it. And the reason why this kind of backfires, like Tom Loeffler of K2 Promotion, he said that 200,000+ would be a success. Now, the venue sold out. That's good. But it's still, I know they wanted higher numbers than 150,000, period. You know what I'm saying? This was supposed to be Hagler versus Hearns. This wasn't a Hagler-Hearns type of fight anyway. And I never compared it. If you go listen to all my Triple G Lemieux videos, I never compared it to no damn Hagler-Hearns. That was like nonstop, go for the jugular type of action. Classic, you know what I'm saying? I never even thought this was going to be that type of fight. In fact, the only reason that it was intriguing to me, I knew who the better fighter was. The only reason it was intriguing is because David Lemieux can crack in his boxing, so anything can happen. One punch could alter the course of events. So for that reason, we watch. But other than that, it pretty much went as I expected. But it just goes to show me that HBO they need to reconsider. Like, I have an inkling that they knew Cotto versus Canelo was likely to be made. So since you knew that was happening in November, did you really need to make this in a pay-per-view the month before? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And you look at another thing why it kind of backfired is because Triple G, with the emerging fan base in California and selling out venues and stuff, I think Team Triple G has gotten a little bit like too big for their britches in terms of like bold in terms of interviews and articles that I read about them. Like, oh, Andre Ward, he's not relevant. We're the A side, and they're just like, I think they were feeling themselves a little bit too much. Like, that's a good team. It's a good fighter that you have there. But I mean, this whole A side, that's what I'm saying, man. It's just like people hate on Mayweather, hate him, hate his style, say he's bad for boxing. But a lot of people emulate Mayweather. And it's just, it doesn't come like that. You can't just build a pay-per-view star when you want. Somebody can have, it's like someone having success on the small screen on a TV show and then transitioning to Hollywood big blockbuster movies. Will Smith did it, but that doesn't mean everybody that transitions from the small screen to the silver screen will have success. And that's the same thing with boxing. Triple G selling out venues. That's one thing, because a venue is going to hold 11,000 to, let's say, 18,000 people, which is good. But when we're talking about an HBO pay-per-view or subscription, there's millions, billions of people on this planet. You know what I'm saying? Millions of people that have HBO. So getting ratings on like a pay-per-view it's a whole different ball game, and it doesn't mean you're going to have crossover success. And I think they prematurely jumped the gun. To me, it would have been better. Like, I'm glad at least we got to see the fight and it was a unification. But I've said this time and time again, is David Lemieux fought for a vacant belt. So props to him for having the stones to fight the killer in the division, which was Triple G. But he fought for a vacant belt, never defended. Like, let's say David Lemieux, he beat Hassan Endam and defended versus Curtis Stevens. He defended versus like an Andy Lee or Quillen, whoever, right? And had like one or two defenses. Then I'd be like, okay, he's a certified champion. He was able to hold on to the belt. Now a Triple G fight makes more sense because he's a certified, similar to Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford went to Ricky Burns' backyard, beat him. He had a homecoming fight. His first title defense was against an undefeated gold medalist in Yuriorkis Gamboa. He knocks him out in a very competitive fight, a fight where it was like half and half in terms of the rounds. And then he fought a Ray Beltran, a solid guy, veteran, Manny Pacquiao sparring partner. Then he came back and fought Thomas Delorme. He moved up in weight, and then now he's fighting Thierry Jean. So him going into, like, let's say he beats Thierry Jean and he goes to fight Manny Pacquiao, that makes a bit more sense to me, because he's if he beats Thierry Jean, he's in, especially if he stops him or something, which Lamont Peterson wasn't able to do. You know what I mean? And he's only lost one time, Thierry Jean. That's like 3 solid title defenses. So you got the title from Burns, you beat Gamboa, you beat Beltran. I was there at that fight live. And then you beat Thomas Delorme. And then if you beat Thierry Jean, that's 4 title defenses. So you're, to me, a certified champion. So I would respect the Pacquiao fight more so, because you became a champion and then you had 4 title defenses and were still able to hold on to that belt. David Lemieux didn't have that. He got the belt via vacant belt, a belt that was vacated by Jermaine Taylor because he's batshit crazy. And his very first title defense happened to be against the #1 killer in the division, which was Triple G. So I would have liked to see David Lemieux add his confidence and build his confidence by having at least maybe 1 or 2 title defenses before Triple G. Now, I'm not going to complain. I mean, we still got to see the fight, and I don't know if the title defenses would change. But, you know what I mean, boxing is about timing, and, you know what I mean, you grow confidence as you defend and successfully defend and hold on to the belt longer. I mean, that's almost a proven thing. Like, that's like defeating Mayweather would be harder than defeating a guy who just became a champion and this was his first title defense. You know what I mean? I've seen plenty of people lose their belt in their first title defense. So that's the thing with the Triple G Lemieux. I think HBO, they said, oh, this is a great fight. We could sell this as David versus Goliath, Hagler versus Hearns, even though, like, if you know anything about boxing, you know it's rare that fights live up to a Hagler-Hearns type of proportion. And they really pushed it with this. I think this could have been on regular HBO. I said that from the jump. And the other thing is, I got to talk about the boxing fans, man. A lot of you boxing fans are fake. You're fake. And the reason I say that is because I make a video, let's say I say Triple G should fight Ward. That's a good fight. And you get a million people jumping on like, oh, Ego, you're a bitch. You're a Ward lover. Go suck Ward's dick and all this stuff. And Triple G's king, GGG. And he's the Lord and Savior. And then you're riding for Golovkin and saying like, oh, good boy. He's the good boy killer and all this stuff. But then when your man is fighting, you don't tune in to watch it. You don't pay for it. You stream it, or you go to a friend's house because you don't want to support him. So to me, that's kind of fake that you're willing to be in every boxing forum, all in the videos, leaving comments, riding for this person like you're a real diehard Gennady Golovkin fan. And I understand not everyone lives close to the New York tri-state area, so maybe they can't go to the fight live. But if you're this bout it and you're a diehard fan, then why is he only doing 150,000? Why is he not doing better numbers? Especially, like I said, go to any Golovkin video I've done in the recent memory and see the fanfare in the comment section. But those same people don't want to fork over $49.95 for allegedly their favorite fighter. So that, to me, that's kind of fake. You know what I'm saying? I know people have jobs and different stuff, so if you don't have it like that, that's one thing. But some of you guys spend $49.95 on weed or drinking alcohol or something, but you want to act like Golovkin's your favorite numero uno fighter, but you can't even support him. You know what I'm saying? So 150, I think that's kind of a flop. I expected it to do better, like 200 plus, like Tom Loeffler and them were gunning for. I think, especially with the card, I thought the card was pretty solid, and it just goes to show you, man, you can't build a pay-per-view star when you want. You know what I'm saying? This stuff has to come natural. Because you look at Canelo, I'm not going to include Canelo versus Mayweather because obviously that's two guys with the fan base or whatever, so that did record-breaking numbers. But Canelo coming off a loss to Mayweather, he did better numbers fighting Angulo, who was also off a loss. So this was a unification fight with Triple G and Lemieux, who were both on a win streak and both champions, and it did less than Canelo off of a loss to Mayweather and Angulo, who I believe was off of a stoppage loss to Erislandy Lara, and Canelo still did better numbers. You know what I mean? Canelo versus Lara did better numbers. Cotto versus Sergio Martinez did better numbers. And Sergio Martinez, I believe his fight before was questionable with Martin Murray before he fought Cotto. You know what I mean? So, again, it just... Triple G's he's an excellent fighter, but maybe he's not ready for this pay-per-view stardom, and they kind of jumped the gun like, oh, we got to make this pay-per-view. I would like to see, especially if they're talking about making like a Toriano Johnson fight in February, I would like to see that on regular HBO because I don't think the star power is exactly what it was. And to me, the biggest reason why I'm talking about this is because I think Triple G and team have spent a lot of energy like showcasing, and not really Triple G, he's a humble dude, but maybe his team, Abel, Tom, I think they spend a lot of energy trying to convince the fans and force feed, and HBO too, that Triple G is a bona fide star because he's selling out venues and he's this and that, but 150,000 is not the best. You know what I mean? Mayweather versus Berto, which was a fight that got a lot of hatred. People were like, oh, fuck this fight. Berto sucks. The undercard wasn't spectacular. You know what I'm saying? The undercard wasn't like far superior shitting on Triple G Lemieux undercard. You know what I'm saying? And that did better numbers. So to me, I think Triple G should, you know what I mean, go back to regular HBO, especially if he's going to fight the guys that are at middleweight because there's no other stars. And I told people this. David Lemieux, he's a good fighter. He's a fun fighter. He's not a star. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to promote a pay-per-view with one star. That means they have to carry the weight, you know what I mean? Like a Mayweather versus Robert Guerrero. He had to carry most of that pay-per-view. So let me know what you guys think of Triple G versus Lemieux doing 150,000. My thing is, like, if you're a real boxing fan and you want to ride for Triple G like you do in the comment section, why not support his events? Why not go to it if you're in the area? If you're that avid of a fan, you know what I mean? Or you want to cuss people out in the comment section over Triple G, then why is he only doing 150? Why are you not coming out of pocket when a lot of you guys have the money to do it? Drop it in the comment section. Let me know if you think that's a success or a failure. Very first pay-per-view. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.